Well, we're
Okay,
going to keep
so
those
far.
fingers crossed. And
Oh my
with
God,
that
yeah.
positive note, Tricia, I'm going to hand it over to you. The floor is yours. And thank you so
Perfect.
much for being with us today.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you. I am excited to be here with you all as well. I see lots of faces that I recognize and names that I recognize. So welcome. So I am talking today about a large public STEM event pivoting to virtual and how we're going to maintain engagement in this virtual STEM festival that actually starts on Saturday. So just a little bit more about me. So again, my name is Tricia Berry. I use she, her pronouns. I am the director of the Women in Engineering program at UT Austin. I also lead the Texas-wide Texas Girls Collaborative Project. I'm also an engineer, so I think a lot of what you're going to hear from me today really is around problem solving and how much that is a part of my DNA and how I approach everything that I do in this space. Meeting challenges and figuring out solutions to them is what I do. So when the challenge of what to do with Girl Day at UT Austin this year became a reality, I went right into that problem solving mode. And I'm really excited to share with you the evolution of that over this past 6 months or so and where we are headed with the event that starts on Saturday and where we think this will take us as we move into the future. I'll share some of the context by walking you through Girl Days of past so that you understand what this huge one-day celebration has looked like in past years. I'll share how we got to where we are today and some of the iterations, including some of the struggles and uncertainties and successes and failures that we've experienced even before the event has even begun. And then I'll wrap up with where I feel like we're headed with Girl Days in the future. So with that, I have no PowerPoint, but I'm going to walk us through a variety of things as we go throughout the day. So hopefully you can see my screen there. This is of Girl Days past. So I figure I could scroll. We can wander through Girl Days of past when we all could be together by the thousands. Girl Day last year happened basically 2 weeks before the world shut down. And so I'm thankful that we got it done. And I'm thrilled that we were able to have that last event before everything went quiet, but we are missing it this year. Our UT Austin Girl Day is a national award-winning event that's presented each year by the Women in Engineering program, the program that I lead. It gives elementary and middle school students a chance to explore STEM through great appropriate hands-on activities that are hosted by our volunteer scientists and engineers and STEM enthusiasts. We typically have well over 100, 150 student organizations and research centers from across campus, plus corporate partners and community organizations that all participate in Girl Day and lead these activities, all for free for our community. It began as Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day, which is an international celebration that's part of Engineers Week. And as we gained more and more computer science and natural science interest and other STEM interested organizations and activities, we added the Girl Day STEM Festival. So now in normal in-person times, the Girl Day at UT Austin includes Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day and the Girl Day STEM Festival. And it's typically hosted on the first Saturday of Engineers Week. So enough with our pictures. Let's go to the next thing to show you. So again, just to provide context, and I forgot to say, feel free to throw questions in the chat and we can stop and I'm happy to answer questions as we go. We don't need to wait to the end. This is what our program looked like, our program booklet last year. So I'll scroll down just to give you, again, a sense of what was contained in our in-person, and that'll make sense as I show you what we've transitioned to this year. We had a number of live shows and demonstrations on stages as part of Live Girl Day. We had a number of things that happened throughout the day at different times on different stages. Then we had taken over the entire engineering complex on the UT Austin campus, as well as every building and plaza and lobby and grassy area and parking lot in between. And we spread the activities across all of those spaces. Messy things or things that could be outside were put outside, things that needed to be inside were in classrooms and lobby spaces. And you can see we had lots and lots and lots and lots of things that took place last year. I also wanted to show you our final, let's see. Oh, we also, and this will make sense again when I show you this year, we also have a program by grade, because it's a lot when someone as a participant comes in, a family comes in and tries to make sense of Girl Day and all these buildings and all this stuff going on. It's a little overwhelming or a lot overwhelming. So last year we created these grade specific guides to help people navigate and find their way based on the grades of the students that they had with them. This is our final report, and I have it blown up here because it's got a lot of words on the left, but I wanted you to see the numbers so that you could see what our reach was in past years. So this again was last year. We had over 8,000 registrants. We don't count who are actually on campus because there's not really an easy, good way to do that. So we take all of our data by our registrations and then kind of extrapolate what we assume, you know, if people ask us how many were actually on campus, we make some educated guesses. But this shows from our registrations, we have 88% girls, what our demographics look like as far as race and ethnicity, as well as the breakdown by location. And we also partner with the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts of Central Texas has historically handed out patches. So Girl Scouts can earn a patch by being there for the day, or purchase a patch, I guess I should say. And a lot of our participants come from the Girl Scout ranks, not just from Central Texas, but from other parts of Texas as well. Again, we had lots of partners joining in last year. We had 185 companies and different entities that joined in, 162 activities. And then a variety of fun facts about toothpicks and all the fun things that we all know come into our hands-on STEM fun. As far as what our history looks like, this also shows some of the history over time. We started with a small group on campus one afternoon and have grown to the masses that we have now, and our volunteer base has also grown. So that is kind of the backstory of what Girl Day in person looks like. So I wanted to then move into what does it look like now, or where are we headed now, and what does that decision-making process look like, and what are some of the things that we were thinking about. So I'll point now to our website as I talk through some of this. So we really decided in midsummer, so pretty early, that we would make Girl Day virtual. It's such a large event, the thought of trying to balance both an in-person and a virtual option as we went along just seemed to be too overwhelming. So we decided we're just going to go all in virtual and press on. And if we, for some reason, could all be in person, you know, we'll head towards that for the following year. And I think making that decision early was really quite critical in helping us get to where we are now. We still had the same goals. You know, we still had the goal of engaging our community in the process. We have such great community partners and organizations that want to be a part of something where they can extend their reach. And it's such a huge on-campus outreach opportunity for our student orgs and our research centers. And so we wanted that huge community engagement if we could figure out how to do it. And then we still have the goal to reach this wide, diverse audience of K through 8th graders and their educators and families. So really, you know, given this decision to reach large numbers still and to have this community reach, we decided to spread Girl Day out from not just a one-day event, but across the entire week of Engineers Week. So you can see here on the slide, it's on the screen, Saturday, February 20th, which is this Saturday, through Monday, March 1st. Our hope is really to spread out the organizations that were participating and to spread out the participation so that we wouldn't overwhelm participants, maybe with too much to explore on one day, still kind of thinking about how we had to break things up by grade when we had it in person. And then we also we were a little concerned, especially in the summer when we were thinking about this, of overloading any technology system we may use. That was, if you remember, in the early days of COVID, all the technology challenges that we were seeing when there were too many people trying to get onto any one system. And there were really no systems able to accommodate what we were looking for at that point. So we wanted to spread out participation as best we could. And 10 days of virtual Girl Day seemed like the route to go. Well, once I really started to look at those dates and saw if we ran from Saturday the 20th through Sunday the 28th, so the full week of Engineers Week, well, March 1st was that next Monday. So, you're already going 9 days, why not go one more? And it made sense for a couple of reasons. One, March 1st is designated as Texas Girls in STEM Day in the state of Texas by our state legislature. So why not have Girl Day end on Texas Girls in STEM Day? And it's the start of Women's History Month. So it felt like that's a good launch into Women's History Month. So we could really celebrate and shed light on both of those things and wrap up our Girl Day experience. And again, at that point, what's one more day? So Girl Day this year is going to be held on February the 20th through March 1st. And I'll scroll down on this page. You can see a little bit more about what that looks like. So, we're trying to think about what can we do over these 10 days and how do I frame this for my organizations that want to participate so that they kind of know where to navigate to. And so we ended up creating themes. The themes were really intended to try to help our organizations pick a day to join in on. And for my standpoint, from a communication standpoint, a way to communicate out to our public of here are the types of themed activities you'll find during this day in case a kid or a classroom has a particular interest in a different area, again, with that intent to try to spread things out a little bit. So you can see we've got a variety of themes that are spread out on this. They were based on groupings. When I looked through past Girl Days and tried to look through and see kind of where did activities lie, that helped feed the decision of what these could be. And it worked, surprisingly. I was shocked when I actually downloaded my list of registrations from our organizations and divided them out across where they wanted to be. We ended up with about 45-ish booths on each of the first 3 days. So the first Saturday and Sunday, so this upcoming Saturday and Sunday, and then the following Saturday, each have 40, I think we're at like 44 to 48 booths on each of those days. And then the last day we have about 30. So they did spread themselves out quite nicely. So our fingers are crossed that participants are going to spread out as well, or that they're going to come all 4 days. I mean, who knows? This is our great unknown, and I'll know more after Saturday. I get lots of questions of what can we expect and how many can we expect? And I'm like, I'll know more after this Saturday. Those of you on this Saturday, you're all joining in for the fun. Those of you that have booths later will know more, and I can answer those questions a little bit better. Along with these themes, we're also pushing out content each day of those 10 days. We'll send e-newsletters to all of our registrants that highlight our corporate partners, of course, but also feature the activities and demonstrations and the content they can find during those weekend booths or explore at other times. And this was really based off of a newsletter that we pushed out this summer as part of a virtual summer camp. Instead of trying to do anything live or to do anything in real time with our camp participants this past summer, all of the youth protection policies on campus were really quite cumbersome and I didn't want to deal with them. So we just pushed content out to our campers all summer and called that our camp experience. And it actually worked really, really well. And so this is one of the examples where we had the theme for this week of our camp was around aerospace engineering and computational engineering. So we shared information, we embedded videos, we shared about our student orgs, we highlighted different role models, we had an engineering design challenge, we talked about the design process. So all of these things, it's lengthy, but it has a lot of content that they can pull straight from that and be able to instantly use and share. So that's where we're headed with the newsletters that we're intending to push out to all of our registrants this year. They will also encourage our registrants to explore the content on the website in advance. So not only do we have booths, which I'll show you in a moment, but we've put all of this content on our website. So when they say that, going to virtual things can be easy, yes, but it seems like also it's about triple the work. because not only did our organizations make booths and put their content in there, but then I pulled all the content out to also put it on our website, also put it in the searchable database so that it's available in advance of when the booths are actually open and they can get into the event on the weekend. And this is all searchable. This just gives you an idea of what is in here. We still have things around the themes. We've got the audiences listed in here. People can search. And then we created these activity web pages. So again, this content can live beyond just the weekend days when, for example, here our electrical and computer engineering students might be in their booth ready to visit with students. We can share this out in advance. We can share it out afterwards. It's also available for this student organization if they are able to, need to reference it for something they may be doing with their outreach in the community. And I will show you as well, we're also using a system called Flipgrid. And Flipgrid is a place where our students can showcase things. So for example, this one, they're doing Draw a Robot. And if the kids draw the robot and they want to share it and showcase it, they can come into Flipgrid and record the responses. So this is like our showcase space. Whereas normally kids would, be in a classroom at Girl Day, or they're at a booth or a table at Girl Day, and they'd see everybody else's creations. We don't have that in virtual world, but Flipgrid at least gives us a sense of what that can be. And so we're hoping that this is an interactive space that will see some of the creations from the kids that are participating. We're hoping. Maybe we'll see nothing. I don't know. We'll tell you more later. So what does this look like on the weekend days? So this is a system we're using called Brazen. It is a web-based career fair technology. So this is where my engineering problem solving comes into play. I'm like, okay, what is out there? How can I game the system to work for what we need it to do? And if you think about a career fair, a virtual career fair, it's the same kind of thing where you go up to a booth, they have this stuff about it, you have a chance to connect with somebody if there's someone in the booth that you want to talk to, and then off you go. And so that's what we've got here. It's the exact same thing. And I'll show you what these booths look like. So this is what Saturday looks like. This is upcoming Saturday, and we have all the booths that the organizations have created with their content. And you can see on here they're consistent in what we tried to share, again, to make it easy for families or educators and people that are in here to navigate. It's got the little Flipgrid logo if it's an activity where they can connect in and share what they do on Flipgrid. It's got the grades. The booths are sorted by grade. So starting with kindergarten, and then the grades get higher and higher as you scroll down. If you go into a booth, I'll go into Girl Starts booth, one of our ISEA favorites. And in the booth, it's got the activity challenge when they come right in, how to do it. This is all stuff that Girl Start put in there about a career connection. And then it also has more opportunities to engage and an information page that can have some video embedded. So there's quite a bit that you can do in here, and our organizations really took full advantage, which was pretty cool. There's also some live broadcasts. So just like we would have stage shows, we didn't want to lose that opportunity within the virtual world. So we're actually using what they call live broadcast booths that are just like what we're doing here, but more like Zoom webinar where I can't see anybody else. We're just presenting out, and it's got a discussion thread for the interaction. So we have a number of those live shows that happen throughout the day. I think, in this virtual space, one of the other things that we kind of came to realize is we could do some things different. And so the last couple of things that I wanted to share was some of the innovations that we're doing. So we always get questions. Can my high schooler attend? What my high schooler came to Girl Day, what's for them now? And we've never really had anything for them. We've had some high school groups that volunteer at Girl Day. We've had a lot of FIRST robotics teams that will volunteer for Girl Day. We've had solar car teams from high schools volunteer for Girl Day and bring their solar cars out. But we've never really had a participate option for high schoolers. So we added in this year high school programming during the week. So the K through 8 programming is really concentrated on those weekend days, and then the high school content we have spread out throughout the weekdays. And so there's a variety of things that we have going on. We have some of our organizations that are coming in and will be presenting about women in manufacturing. We have some of our current student organizations that are sharing some things as well. And our dean is actually signed up to come in to our Fab Femmes Friday next Friday and do a Q&A with the dean, which is exciting. The other thing that we had the opportunity to do in virtual world are some film screenings. And some of you all might be familiar with some of these films or have seen these promoted throughout the STEM spaces recently. We are showing these 3 sets of films. So Connect Her is a film festival, and they have a STEM category within their film festival. They're a local-based organization out of Austin, but their films that they pull in for their film festival are from all over the world. And so we're featuring their Girls in STEM, Girls in Tech films as part of Girl Day. And they actually have a booth each of the weekend days of Girl Day that's featuring a different film that connects with the theme, one of the themes of those weekend days. So they're having a presence throughout Girl Day, which is pretty cool. Coded Bias is a film that was out just recently, and it looks at the bias in all the algorithms and in computer programming. It's really quite phenomenal and definitely enlightening. So I encourage you all to join in and watch that as well. And then our Picture a Scientist screening, and this is a film that looks at a lot of the bias and sexism that happens within the scientific spaces for women. These films were, other than the Connect Her, we're really not promoting at all to younger audiences. This is our high school and above space. Coded Bias, it's probably just a level a little bit beyond where maybe those elementary middle schoolers are, and Picture a Scientist just has some things that perhaps would not be so appropriate, or you'd have to explain a lot as a parent. So we're telling folks high school and above for all of these. And they're spread out over the week as well. Connect Her is the whole week. It's available now if you wanted to go watch. Coded Bias is starting this upcoming weekend and goes through Thursday, and then Picture a Scientist is the following weekend. So with that, I wanted to, I'm going to stop sharing because that's all of my showing of stuff. I wanted to share a little bit about the challenges and lessons learned, and this might tie into the question I see there in the chat. I think one of the biggest lessons learned is that we have to think about a lot of things, and that it takes a lot of questions and a lot of brain power to think about all of it, right? And so I have hosted office hours. I've never hosted Girl Day office hours for all of our organizations before. I've probably already hosted at least 10 hours worth of office hours. I think I have probably 20 hours coming up in the next 2 weeks of office hours. And by having conversations with our organizations, with our volunteers, and hearing what they're concerned about or what they're wondering about or what ideas they have, we've really made a much better Girl Day. So I think engaging the community in that way has been really useful. I've typically done that in one-offs or with smaller groups in the past in live Girl Day. But having so much brain power has been incredibly useful. I have a constant notepad in front of me, and I'm always writing things down when I have my office hours. I think I walk away with more questions and things to do for my office hours than I've helped my folks with. And some of the other challenges or lessons learned, one of the challenges is that our corporate partners are fewer. Companies are definitely spending their money in different spaces right now. We know that many of our corporate partners have funneled a lot of their philanthropic gifts to COVID-focused efforts, which is quite understandable. Fortunately, Girl Day in virtual world does cost less, but there's still significant cost. We have to pay for every booth. We have to pay for every live booth. We have to pay for every participant that comes in. I have no idea what that's going to look like. So I've got to deal with Brazen, our technology company. I'm like, can we pay for this afterwards when I know what happened? And so they're working with me to make that all work, because we are completely figuring it out as we go. And so not having the dedicated corporate funds like we normally have, has just had us to have to pay attention to the budget a little bit differently than maybe we have in the past. But again, we're not paying for t-shirts. We're not having to pay for parking on campus. We're not having to pay for food on campus, a variety of the things that would be some of our larger expenses. Volunteer engagement, if you remember seeing that final report, there was an uptick on those volunteers. Our volunteer engagement this year is going to be super low. Booths are having maybe 3 people in there, maybe 5. I've seen some that are very ambitious and there's like 74 in one of them. I don't know what they're doing, but more power to them. That volunteer engagement I'm missing, because that's such a deep connection that we have with our organizations and our community. And I think that just leads to my next challenge. We just really haven't, it's all an unknown. We just don't know what this is going to look like. If we have all these volunteers in the booths ready to talk to people, is anyone going to click the chat button and actually want to talk to them? Are they going to just sit there for 4 hours and no one's going to talk to them at all? I have no idea. Is everyone going to go to one booth and that's it? Can I like micromanage on the back end and push them and nudge them to different places? I don't know. We just have so many unknowns, and we're just kind of crossing our fingers that it's going to work. And then data, I mentioned earlier, I'm not quite sure how to measure what's success look like, right? I feel like it's successful in engagement of our community, because we still have a lot of the same organizations that are joining in, or those that aren't joining in have given a great reason why, and they want to come back next year. And so we still have that relationship from a community of K through 8th graders or high schoolers or whatever. I don't know. So I'm going to pause. Those are my kind of biggest challenges. And then I'll come back and talk about future Girl Days, but answer some of these questions I'm seeing in the chat. I'm going to scroll back up to make sure. So, I think I sort of mentioned what I say is the most important part of this pivot to virtual. I think being mindful of the overload, I think that being mindful of the overload drove a lot of our decisions. It drove the decision to go 10 days instead of 1, because 150 organizations and all people all on one day in this platform would have been overwhelming, I think, to everybody. And right now 10 days is overwhelming to me, but what's that matter, right? I think being mindful of that throughout. I'm also, I've been really thinking again about the overload, careful with all of our participants, all of our volunteers in the orgs, to say, if you don't want anybody in your booth, don't have anybody in your booth. You don't have to have role models. If you just want your content up there, that's good enough. It doesn't matter. If you only want to have volunteers there for an hour, fine, just have them there for an hour and kind of load them all in, and that's it. And we're just kind of going with it. So I think, again, just mindful of how everyone is feeling overloaded. Free, yeah, free. It's always free. Free to everybody when it's in person, virtual, all things. Evaluation is tough. Fortunately, our corporate partners get that it's weird, and they get that it's different. I think I don't have it on here, but I think one of my challenges is how to ensure that our corporate partners feel like they're getting value and the visibility that they would normally get. And again, I don't know if that's happening. I keep asking them a lot of questions, but they don't know how to answer me either, right? They don't know either. How did my partners react when we shared it would be virtual? They were all super supportive and thought that it was very smart. Our two big partners this year are Halliburton, who's been a partner forever, and BASF. And I did, before we made the decision to go virtual, I had a phone call with both of them to talk about what does this look like? What do they think? How do they feel? So I made sure with them that I had those conversations early on. Did I discover new partners? I don't know. We have a couple new this year. We also, I think, normally we have some corporate sponsors, corporate partners who don't have the capacity to create content or lead the hands-on activities themselves, so we'll pair them. So a good example is Chevron. While Chevron is amazing in the community, and they're at like every science festival with their big, I mean, they've got like their own outreach stuff that they take to the USA Science and Engineering Festival and all this stuff. They don't do that at Girl Day. They've never done that at Girl Day. It comes from their recruiting team that partners with us at UT. And they've always come at it from a recruiting angle. So they've always partnered with our Society of Petroleum Engineers so that they can have their corporate folks there all day with the students and build those relationships with the student org. But the student org then has led the activity. Well, in virtual Girl Day, that makes zero sense. For two reasons. One, there's no way, no real easy way in this virtual environment to give visibility to multiple organizations in those booths very well. We're doing it with a couple that wanted to partner, but it's just hard to do that. It's hard to give that different visibility. And then there's not a lot for them to do, right? What are they going to do? So all my corporate partners this time made booths. And if they didn't know how to make a booth, I made a booth for them. I made Intel's booths because they're like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, just send me your stuff. I will make you a booth. I can make a booth in no time flat. I did the same thing for 3M, right? So it's like, if you can't do it this year and you're not sure how to do it, or you've never done this because you've always partnered, let's figure out a way so you can at least still have the visibility. Most of these companies have some sort of content because they're doing this from their companies anyway. And so we're just kind of, I'm pulling that out from them and we're shining that light in a different way. Okay, let's see what other questions we got here. Partners. Okay. Will I leverage the virtual format to encourage more feedback? Maybe. That's a great question. See, this is where I get these survey right after they exit. Survey at exit. I will know what that means later. There are some interesting things in this virtual platform to collect some feedback and to monitor and watch where people go. Again, I think I will know more after Saturday, but I definitely need to see how can I collect the feedback right there on the spot. We usually send a survey after the event the next day to all who registered. But you're right, I could capture some of that probably right when they exit and open up that survey on the spot. Do I see Girl Day going blended in the future? Okay, yeah, so let me talk virtual Girl Day. So I don't feel like we'll have the capacity maybe to do something as large as this in Brazen. Again, that feels daunting to do an in-person plus this in the future. But do we do something like this at another time of the year? Or do we do virtual Girl Day the second weekend of Engineers Week, or not 150 things, but some subset of that? I feel like we are engaging organizations and people in a different way, and the content lives on, which is what I think is phenomenal, is that the content doesn't just live in the day, it lives beyond. And I think there's value in that. So I don't know. I think, part of what I want to also do is reevaluate where our attendees are coming from. I'm anticipating that we'll have a greater percentage that are coming from outside of Central Texas, but maybe not. If they're still all Central Texas that are participating, then, maybe in person is just where we need to be. So I don't know the answer to that. I think the power is definitely in that in-person interaction. We're going to miss that this time. I think we're going to miss it greatly. I think my volunteers are going to miss that greatly, and we don't want to lose that. But hopeful that we can think about how can we do some of this still and continue some of this virtual stuff on. Yeah. Okay. Other questions? You can unmute yourself too and throw questions at me. That's okay. Did I miss things? Building on, let's see. Blended building that will help spread participation to a bigger geographic range. That was what I was hoping. We have alumni from UT all over the globe, and people who have never been able to participate in Girl Day. I haven't done a deep dive into the data to see where they're all coming from at this point. I will say the Girl Scouts were the first ones to hop on and register when registration opened in December. And there were, I think when we first started out, it was like 80% were from outside of Texas, and they were all Girl Scouts. So I don't know what little message went out through the Girl Scout network, but they were hopping on from like remote Wisconsin and Maryland and Maine. There were a whole bunch from Maine. It was wild. I don't know what that network was doing, but we'll see. We shall see. Other questions? Hopefully this was helpful. There's a lot to think about for sure. Lots of moving parts and lots of unknowns.
You'll have to come back next year and tell us how it went, Tricia.
I can do that. I can do that. And y'all are welcome. I mean, please, I actually went in today and adjusted our registration. I've had questions from educators who have said, can I just come in and play and talk to these people on the weekend? And so, yes, absolutely. If you want to come in and play on one of our weekend days or multiple weekend days, actually changed our registration so you can, where it says how many students are coming with you, you now actually can say 0. So before you had to pick a number. So I don't know, some people may have been making up a number before, but you can actually say 0 now, and it's okay. So yes, I invite you all, come in, register. If you register, you'll get my 10 days of Girl Day Insanity. I mean, newsletters, whatever, that I haven't started on yet. And join the film festival. Please spread the word. I paid for 1,000 seats for Coded Bias so that we could spread wide and I wouldn't have to worry about counting. So spread the word. It's really good. If you have not seen Coded Bias or Picture a Scientist, highly, highly, highly recommend.
It sounds really interesting.
They're really good.
I saw Picture a Scientist.
Really
it was amazing.
Yeah, they're really good. Social media, yes. At UT Web and hashtag, well, they're right there, right there. You can't, it's hard to, I'm backwards. At UT Web and hashtag UT Girl Day. You can access a lot of our social media. On Facebook, we've got the 4 weekend days are all Facebook events that you could share. And I know my student who's been doing social media has been sharing stuff constantly. And thank you, Kristen, for throwing that in the chat. Yay. All right. And if you all have any suggestions, like I wrote down my survey statement or ideas, I am open to those. The event hasn't started yet. And, we have a whole second weekend to fix. So if you do even come in and you're like, oh, that was not good, please let me know. I need any and all eyeballs and help and feedback as you all can give me. I greatly appreciate this community for sure.
This was great, Tricia. And before everybody signs off for our next adventures, do you have any more questions for Tricia? Throw them in the chat real quick. She'll capture those before she disappears to her next adventure, maybe campfire with ISEA. In the chat box, you'll see some of our next activities, but what I wanted to do was remove the spotlight from Tricia and just do a giant screenshot if y'all are willing. You do not need to take yourself off your muted video if you don't want to. You could, put your glasses back on or put your drink back down or whatever it is, but we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna convert my screen over to gallery and do a jumbo share-a-thon here. So smile while I do a screen share, and I'll give you the 3, 2, 1 countdown. All right, 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! All right. At least we got
Fabulous.
a bunch of faces. Tricia, thank you so much. We are all wishing you great luck with Girl Day.
Thank you.
As you're like full steam ahead, and thank you for taking the time to come and join us. It's one of the things we were always so sad about is Engineering Week and ISEA sometimes kind of crashed into each other, and we weren't always able to participate in each other's events. So I'm really glad this year that there is an opportunity for us to roll in out of this and into Girl Day and check out some really fun programming. I definitely know how massive of an undertaking it is in person, and it doesn't seem like it's gotten any smaller.
No, I can't say no to things.
I think that's the mantra of any educator. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And those of you who are
Everybody.
still